Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech Outlook. In today's video, I will talk about ER diagram, schema diagram and schema definitions based on University Database. In my last video, I have explained assignment number 1 of Database Management System Laboratory of ACIT 2019 pattern. This is nothing but the second part of the same assignment. So this is the problem statement for the first assignment. We have to design any database system with at least 3 entities and relationship set between them. Draw suitable ER diagram for the system. But when we draw ER diagram, we have to draw schema diagram also, and we have to write schema definitions also. So already we have discussed this ER diagram in my last video that is nothing but the first assignment. This is ER diagram for the university database which has more than 3 entity sets, more than 3 relationship sets. Already I have explained everything in my earlier video. For better understanding, you all can refer that video. Even I have one video which shows about how to convert ER diagram into tables. If you know the rules to convert ER diagram into tables, it is very easy to draw schema diagram. It is very easy to write schema definitions. So here I won't be explaining all the rules to convert ER diagram into tables. For better understanding, you all please refer that video which I have the link I have provided in my description box. So this is the schema diagram which we have drawn from the ER diagram of the university database. So here if you will see, we do not have relationship sets because everything will be converted like this. So here schema diagram is nothing but the diagram which depicts the relationship between primary key and foreign key. Whereas in the ER diagram, we do not have foreign key constraint. We can show only primary key constraint which will be represented by underline. So here from this university database, from this ER diagram, we have 10 entity sets like section, text, student, course, time slot, classroom, teachers, prerequisite, instructor, department and advisor. Some of the relationship sets we have discarded, we have reduced, and how to reduce that part, that already I have explained in my that video, rules to convert ER model into relational model. So after applying that rules, we have only these much only these tables. So department is the first table which is to be created. If you will see, department has department name as a primary key, and that department name is referred in the student table, in the course table, in the instructor table. So here you can see arrow is shown from the student table to department table. That is nothing but department name is acting as a primary key which is referred in the student table as a foreign key. Likewise, department name in the course table acting as a foreign key, and that is referred from the table department. So department is a primary key, but here in the course table it is acting as a foreign key. Likewise, in the instructor table also department name is referred as a foreign key constraint. Likewise, we have so many tables and we can show the relationship between primary key and foreign key constraint. In the section table, section is our weak entity set which strongly depends on course entity set. So we are referring course ID from the course table. So course ID is the primary key of course table is referred in the section table as a foreign key. And course ID, sec ID, semester, year, whole will act as a primary key for the section table. And the same primary key of the section table is referred in the teachers table also as well as in the text table also. So here you can see everything is shown, that arrow is shown to section table. That is nothing but primary key of section is referred as a foreign key in text table, foreign key in teachers table. So teachers is my relationship set which is connected to section and instructor. That's what ID has been taken from the instructor table to teachers. Whereas course ID, sec ID, semester, whole has been referred from the section table. So arrow is shown to section table, whereas this ID arrow is shown to instructor table. Here also text is connected to the section table and student table. So we are referring primary key of student table, primary key of section table in the text. So here you can see course ID, sec ID, semester, year. Whole is acting as a foreign key in the text table, which is primary key in the section table. Even ID is acting as a foreign key, whereas in the student table it is acting as a primary key. That's what arrow is shown from the text to student table, right? And grade is the descriptive attribute which this text relationship set has. So it is a simple attribute. There is no arrow from grade attribute to any of the other tables. So time slot is another entity set which is strong entity set, and we are referring time slot ID in the section table. So there should be arrow from section to time slot, right? Likewise, building and room number whole is acting as a primary key in the classroom table, but we are referring that primary key as a foreign key in the section table. So arrow is shown to both attributes, building as well as room number. Advisor is the another relationship set which is connected to student and instructor. So again the arrow is shown to instructor. ID will be referred from the instructor table to the advisor, whereas ID of the student will be referred in the advisor table. And likewise, here you can see that we have shown the relationship between primary key and foreign key constraint. From this schema diagram, we can write schema definitions. Once the ER diagram is cleared, once the schema diagram is clear, definitely we all can write schema definitions. Schema definition is nothing but name of the table, and into bracket we have to write attributes which that table has, and primary key constants are also shown. So department is the first table which is to be created. So department name is the primary key, building, budget, these are the rest of the attributes of department table. In instructor schema definition, inst ID, name, salary and department name is referred from the department table, which will act as a foreign key. Course ID, title, credits, department name. Student ID, name, total credits, department name. So in instructor table, course table and student table, in these three tables, department name is acting as a foreign key. Department name is referred from the department table. Time slot is another strong entity set which has time slot ID as a primary key. Classroom has building, room number, whole as a primary key, composite primary key. Capacity is another attribute. Section is our another weak entity set which does not have its own primary key, but it strongly depends on core strong entity set. That's what we are referring course ID here. And course ID plus the discriminator of section will whole act as a primary key for this section table. Course ID, sec ID, semester, year. Whole will act as a primary key for section table. Building, room number and time slot ID. These are referred from classroom and time slot respectively. But these attributes are acting as a foreign key constants. Text is the relationship set which has ID, course ID, sec ID, semester, year. Whole is acting as a primary key, and grade is the another variable. Teaches is the relationship set which is connected to instructor and section. So inst ID, course ID, sec ID, semester, year. Whole will act as a primary key. And prerequisite is the role indicator which is connected to course. So course ID and prerequisite ID whole will act as a primary key for prerequisite table. So whenever we take primary keys for the entity sets or relationship set, always we take mapping cardinalities into consideration, and we have different rules. Using that rules, we are converting ER diagram, ER model into relational model. So in the first assignment, what we have to do? We have to draw ER diagram for university database. We have to draw schema diagram for university database, and we need to write schema definitions. That is there in the first assignment. I have referred the schema definition, schema diagram and university ER diagram from the Database System Concept 6th edition by Korth Sudarshan. In my next video, that is nothing but assignment number 2, I will show how to create these tables in MySQL database. I hope it is understood to everyone how to draw ER diagram for university database, how to draw schema diagram and how to write schema definitions. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you. Please do subscribe to my channel.